Joe Gibbs just said something about Kyle Busch, and honestly, it puts everything into perspective. Because this isn't just about wins, this is about who helped build one of the most powerful teams in NASCAR history. And hey, real quick, if you're a true NASCAR fan like me, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe to the channel. NASCAR Nation News is just getting started and we're pushing for our next subscriber milestone. It's all about real talk from fans who live this sport every single week. All right, let's get into it. So here's what happened. After Denny Hamlin's big win at Michigan in the FireKeepers Casino 400, Joe Gibbs sat down and reflected on Kyle Busch. And what he said, it wasn't just a compliment, it was a full acknowledgement of what Busch actually meant to Joe Gibbs Racing. Now, most of us know the numbers. Kyle Busch was with JGR from 2008 to 2022, 14 years. During that time, he won 2 Cup Series championships and recorded 56 Cup victories for the organization. 56! That made him one of the most successful drivers in the team's entire history. It also helped turn that number first, 8 Toyota, into one of the most feared cars on the NASCAR circuit, week after week. But here's the thing. Joe Gibbs wasn't just talking about trophies. He wasn't focused on championships. He wasn't focused on statistics. Instead, he was talking about something much bigger. He said, and this is a direct quote, all of us have just been focused on Kyle Busch and what he's meant to the sport. I talked about building our race team. He was a key part of doing that. Think about that for a second. Joe Gibbs, the man who runs the entire organization, is saying that Kyle Busch wasn't simply a driver who showed up and won races. He was a key part of building the team itself. He helped establish the standards. He helped shape the competitive identity of Joe Gibbs Racing, and that's a completely different level of legacy, because checkered flags are one thing. Building a championship culture is something else entirely. And it doesn't stop there. In fact, what Gibbs said next may surprise some fans, because let's be honest, Kyle Busch always had a reputation on the racetrack. He was intense, he was competitive, and he wasn't always the crowd favorite. At first, nobody saw it coming. But inside the organization, Joe Gibbs says there was a completely different side of Busch, a side that many fans never got to see. Gibbs said, again in his own words, there was a different side of Kyle that we all loved. He was all in. He was really good with our sponsors. All in. That's how Joe Gibbs described him. Not just as a talented driver, but as someone who was fully committed to the team, committed to the sponsors, committed to the people around him every single day. And, that matters in NASCAR more than a lot of people realize. Sponsors help keep these teams alive. Relationships inside the shop, inside the hauler, inside the organization. Those are the things that build dynasties. And apparently Kyle Busch understood that better than most. Then something unexpected happened. The conversation circled back to Denny Hamlin's moment at Michigan. After winning the FireKeepers Casino 400, Hamlin paid tribute to Busch. And that's when everything changed, because that tribute opened the door for Gibbs to reflect on the relationship those two shared during their years together at JGR. A relationship built on competition. They pushed each other in meetings. They pushed each other in meetings. They pushed each other on the racetrack. They challenged one another constantly. And according to Gibbs, that competitive back and forth helped elevate the entire organization. What happened next surprised everyone, because Hamlin's tribute revealed something deeper. Even after Busch's departure from JGR, the drivers and leaders who shared those years with him still carry that connection. It wasn't just business. It wasn't just another teammate relationship. It meant something. And that's really the message Joe Gibbs wanted people to hear. Simple, clear, and impossible to ignore. Kyle Busch helped shape Joe Gibbs Racing, not just through victories, not just through championships, but through the culture he helped build, the standards he helped set, and the identity he helped create. Years after his departure, the organization is still celebrating the impact of a driver who left a permanent mark on its history. So now I want to hear from you, and seriously, drop this in the comments, because I read every single one of them. When you look back at Kyle Busch's time at Joe Gibbs Racing, do you think he gets enough credit for what he built there? Not just the wins, not just the trophies, but the culture, the standards, and the identity of that team? Let me know what you think. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to NASCAR Nation News, and come back for more real NASCAR conversation from fans who've lived this sport every single week. We'll see you next time.